Hi everyone, and welcome to Almost Cancelled. I'm Peter, and this is Connor.
Hey guys.
We're going to talk about Dead of Summer, Season 1, Episode 1. It's called Patience. Full spoilers. Well, actually, no, not full spoilers. It's a first episode, so we'll start spoiler free. Because we did that. Yeah, so we'll start spoiler free. We'll warn you before we do get any spoilers later on. And this is a new show from Freeform. It is set in 1989 at a summer camp. It's kind of a teen horror sort of homage to that sort of era. Uh, Obviously, summer camp immediately makes you think of Friday the 13th and stuff like that. Now, expectations going into this.
Mixed.
Mixed. Honestly, my hope was that it would be fun trash. Because I wasn't necessarily expecting a quality show.
Yeah, but the thing to remember, I think that was pulling it down for me is this is Freeform, which is essentially a teen network.
It is, and the only thing we've ever tried from Freeform before was Shadowhunters, and that was, eek, that was not.
Fucking dire.
However, the things that this is trying to homage back to is very much in my wheelhouse.
It definitely is.
I love a good slasher movie from the 80s, and the funny thing is what I liked most about this was not the thing that you would normally expect to be the positive part of even a slasher movie from the 80s. Because normally when you put on a slasher movie from the 80s, you're there kind of for the killer and the horror stuff and the kills and the violence, and that's kind of what the selling point is.
That's why they're called slashers.
And the weird thing with this is the stuff I liked about it was all of the other stuff that they took from that, because the actual horror stuff isn't that good yet.
It's not. I think that's down to it being TV and them trying to stretch it
Yeah,
out though. Like they can only tease bits in this episode.
I think stretching out definitely. There's a couple of weird moments that I'll get to in the spoilers as well, and also it oddly reminds me of Until Dawn. And what I mean by that, it's a video game that came out last year. If you're not familiar with what Until Dawn is, and I can't spoil the game by telling you exactly what I mean, but I will say, in the sense that it throws a lot of different things up. So you're not really sure, is this a story about a serial killer? Is it a story about a ghost? Is it a story about this? Like,
That's probably my biggest complaint about the episode. That it feels like they just threw out so much and kind of waiting to see what
yeah.
sticks. I don't really know. I've watched the episode and I still don't really know what's happening in terms of the threat.
But the stuff that I did like I thought the opening, because the opening prologue set in like the 18th century or whatever, uh, just kind of goofy. It was nice to see Tony Todd. Don't get me wrong, he's a staple of the horror genre, but that didn't do much for me. But it went to the sort of the creepy main theme as the title came up, and then transitioned into an 80s beat.
Yeah,
And that I was like, oh wait, okay, I might like this. That was my first thing. I'm like, okay, all right, you're doing something that I like here. Right.
yeah, I kind of like the music.
Yeah, the music in general is actually really good, because I think they do a good job with the score and making it sound like a score that might have been an 80s movie.
And then they accent it with some nice 80s-esque music, source music. You know, you got some
Yeah,
Guns
yeah,
N'
yeah.
Roses in there and stuff like that, and it just works really well.
And what- and then they introduce all the characters, and again, it's this really weird grading scale for me, because I'm comparing it to 80s slasher movies that
And
typically did not have good characters. They had a collection of stereotypes.
yeah, and
And
then one character.
yeah, and this kind of does that. So in a weird way, I kind of like it for doing that. It's really weird to explain, but having the film nerd, having the goody two shoes girl, having the good looking guy who thinks he's all that and wants the goody two shoes girl, like all of it just kind of clicks for me, and I'm like, I kind of like what they're doing
That's
here.
that's the thing. I'm like in most TV shows, I'd say this is shit because
Yeah.
these aren't really characters. But when you're homaging such a specific thing, and that's what that genre essentially was, that's a great move.
Yeah, like I was
Because
one of them showing up in a convertible. Uh,
gold,
that's the popular
posh,
girl who's
yeah,
hot that
the
everyone
rich
wants.
one sort of thing. Yeah,
Yeah. Um, there's the girl who seems really nice but doesn't get the same attention, you know. And then there's the really gay guy. Like the collection of stereotypes, and it's weird when it's this bad, but it's the positive of the show is these characters and the 80s music and the 80s-ness of it all.
That's the thing. It's because it's homaging that, and this is what it was like for those movies. You're actually getting that audience in by having something like that.
Yeah, it's odd, but I like that part of the show.
I do as well, but
and
it should be a negative.
it should be, but it isn't.
Yeah.
And again, we had flashbacks to the main girl's time, like of her last year of school, because this is like her first summer after school, I think. It must be, given something that says in the flashbacks. And again, those flashbacks felt really cheesy, but there's something about having a scene set in a high school in the 80s
Oh, it's just good, isn't it?
where, yeah, like it's really written down to an overly simple, like, you know, people, even teenagers, don't quite act like this, but it's the 80s, so it's allowed.
Yeah. I do. I will say I thought some of the flashbacks were intercut at weird places,
Yeah, a little bit. A little bit.
especially the later ones.
Yeah. They also went in a completely different direction than I thought they were going as well.
Really?
I thought they were kind of going to set up like a carry thing with the bitchy girls, but then one of them kind of actually just became a friend. I was like, oh right, okay. I was expecting that.
Yeah. Okay. I get you.
I was expecting like a U-turn there, but and I just never got a U-turn. Yeah. So the weakest stuff is actually the horror elements, and they put up a lot of different things that could be going down that path. Like a lot of potential suspects, although a suspect may also be a ghost, so it's kind of weird to juggle. But I like even the potential love triangle thing that kind of creeps in, which I would normally hate, I didn't mind so much. Partly because it was less a love triangle and more of just the love pair with the bitchy jealous one as well.
Yeah.
Rather than being like an actual who will pick who kind of thing.
Yeah.
Uh, but there's a couple of character things I'll talk about in spoilers. I will say there was a couple of really awkward edits around some of the jumps and horror things that made it not well, actually, no, there was one that was flat out confusing, but it didn't flow as well in that sense. But then towards the end, there's a scene where the lead character's running and believe danger, and the music's really 80s, and I was really feeling that.
That was the height of the music, I think.
Yeah, that was good. Apart from that, that's pretty much it in terms of spoiler-free stuff, I think.
Yeah, I guess to sum up for anyone who's leaving at the end of the spoiler-free section, the horror stuff is not great because there's so much mixed things that I hope they kind of find what they're doing, stick with it, and it kind of gets its footing.
Yeah, it felt like it felt like I went through a lot of it really quickly as well. When you've got 10 episodes, so you've got time to space this out.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Hopefully, it gets more focused in that sense as it goes on, and maybe like the next episode, it focuses at least on one of the possibilities, and we get we get a ghost episode, we get an episode where it might be an axe murderer, we get an episode where it might be.
See,
whatever.
that'd be a really cool way of doing it.
Yeah.
And if that is what they do, it would actually retroactively make this first episode a little bit better.
Yeah, because this one's just sort of teasing everything because it's wanting to hook you for whatever.
Yeah.
But no, best stuff is the fact that it's in the 80s and they've got authentic magazine covers talking about Michael Keaton being Batman on screen and stuff like that.
It's kind of fun.
It is kind of fun. I'm definitely down for at least giving it a few more episodes to see how it plays out. So spoilers. So full spoilers from this point on. You have been warned. So yeah, the moment that confused me, the moment I want to be really negative about. So the main girl and the deputy go and search this guy's house. You know.
Yeah.
The crazy gardener, who by the way I appreciated him being the over the top guy that's trying to warn them, but at the same time he was just putting it on a bit too thick.
Just a touch.
But so he's been found dead in the water, and as one character says, he probably just killed himself for being a gardener at a shitty summer camp. But so they're investigating his house and they find like a secret back bit, mystery, mystery, all that jazz. But the bit that confused me is that a fire sneaks up behind them.
Yeah.
And then not only does a fire appear out of nowhere and is like big enough that it's like an issue to them, in terms of. I mean, obviously, the house might be a goner, but it just appears suddenly in a way that it's just completely dangerous. And then suddenly, she's okay. She's on the outside of the building. She managed to get out.
I didn't catch that either.
She somehow ran out, but even though he was right behind her, he didn't get out. So he's in like a more of a dangerous situation. And then
I think I saw the beams fall down as she got out through the door.
Yeah,
And the beams fall down between. Oh, I don't know.
It feels like it was edited to hell. Not necessarily for time, but because maybe they didn't have the budget to make the fire look good for that long.
Yeah.
So I think they tried to cut around it in a really weird way, and it just came off as really weird and confusing.
Yeah, definitely.
So that's my biggest complaint in terms of just like an individual moment that just didn't make sense to me. I will say the characters, for the most part, are likable enough. Even the bitchy girl, the bitchy Potter one, seems like she might actually be kind of likable anyway.
Yeah.
And when I say likable, I just mean in the sense that, like, you don't mind that she's bitchy. Like, that's who she is, but she's, you like her being the bitchy one,
Yeah. Basically, we've seen it recently on like Scream Queens. You have shitty characters, but they're fun.
If I have a problem with any character just now, and I wouldn't even say it's a problem, it's just they're definitely the least of them, is probably the douchebag one that wanted the main girl.
Yeah.
He just seems kind of the blandest, whereas everyone else seems to have their thing.
I feel like the douchebag guys kind of always are the blandest, though.
Yeah, pretty
because
much.
that's kind of all they have.
Because I thought the girl who clearly wants the douchebag guy and is upset that he's not noticing her, because you see her like actually write her own graffiti on the wall saying that she's a slut at the end. I thought that was good. Actually, what was the douchebag guy doing at the end in the montage? He was cutting off tags from clothes. Was he stealing clothes from someone else?
Well, that's the thing. All the tags had different names on, didn't they?
Was he going to the lost and found and just been like, I'll take that? And, well,
I wasn't sure. I couldn't quite get the implication of it.
Yeah, it was like he was stealing other people's shirts. But at the same time, why are all these shirts got people's names tagged?
And why are they all in the same trunk?
Is that someone who died, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure.
Maybe we'll get more on that. I wasn't confused. The big thing that came out of this montage at the end, though, is that the weird long-haired guy who had been listening to music and was like basically quiet throughout the entire thing. Plot twist. It's a girl.
Yeah.
I will give them credit. Now, admittedly, I wasn't looking for it. I wasn't looking for a twist. I'm sure if I went back, I'd notice it was a girl the entire time. But when she took the top off and you could see it was more of like she had like upper underwear on. It wasn't like quite a bra, but it was like a sporty looking thing.
Yeah, yeah.
And you seen that, I was like, oh, it's a girl. Oh, I never noticed.
Androgyny does that.
Fair play. But I think what's more interesting isn't it so much that they were able to possibly trick us. And again, I don't know if they so much as tricked me as they deliberately kind of kept her far away from the camera all the time. I think that helped. But I think the more interesting part of that is that she seems to be hiding that from the others.
Yeah, definitely.
So I'll be interested to see what that is exactly and where that's going. Interestingly, speaking about things that harken back to 80s slasher movies, that twist actually reminds me of an ending to a certain slasher movie, which I will not spoil, obviously, for end of movie spoiler reasons. But anyone who immediately assumes a gender swap in a character at the end of a slasher movie will know exactly what I'm talking about if they have seen said movie.
I'm not sure I've seen this one.
I don't think you have.
Okay.
Let's just say the image where you find out this twist is one of the most glorious, frightening, and yet hilarious images you'll ever see.
Gonna have to ask you what movie this is after, so I can go check it out.
Yeah, you can. But yeah, so no, I don't know if I got anything else that way to add.
I just thought the bit where where she's running and the flashbacks are intercut there. I thought that was a bit clunky.
Yeah.
it didn't seem like the right moment. Like it felt like they were trying to build the climax of the two things at once, but it just felt like they were jarring against each other.
Yeah.
I don't know. It seemed weird, like to cut away to the party for so much of the party. Like if it had just been the last little bit of it, intercuts with it, but you had them getting ready for the party, then going to the party, and then the police. It was in like three separate bits while she was running. And it just felt it was like too much for that
I,
build.
I think the end of it worked, but I think they should have kept it just intercutting when the police were coming in, and maybe extended the tension out there a little bit so that the whole thing was tension mixed with tension as opposed to
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's
yeah,
like the,
set
the
up to
end
the
of it
party.
was right, but it was like it went on too long beforehand with the
Yeah.
party stuff. Yeah,
I mean, there was nothing wrong with those setup scenes. It was just they should have been
in a
probably
different
earlier.
place.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Nah, that's fair enough. Um, I guess briefly I want to just mention. I just want to acknowledge the weird moment where the filming dude looks up and uh, I was going to call her Juliet. She's Juliet and Lost. uh, is like standing there in her underwear, just sort of
yeah,
staring down at him.
yeah. It lingers for a while, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's kind of creepy. And then she's got that mysterious box in the ground. And then he comes back for seconds at the window with his camera. He's thinking, "Oh, I'll make
Yeah,
another look," and she shuts the blinds on him. So I don't know. Again, I think that's just setting up another potential red herring, or maybe that's not the red herring. Maybe she is the evil, crazy one that's doing stuff.
well, they've got to seed it somehow, haven't they?
Yeah. So you got that. I think deputy's a suspect.
Yeah, that's fair.
I suppose potentially any one of the kids is a suspect, but I'm just going to leave them out of this for now because I'll assume it's an external thing. So deputy, the sort of head of the camp, a ghost,
Multiple ghosts.
multiple ghosts possibly. Yeah, maybe the ghost of the main girl's friend that died. Maybe it was her.
Some sort of demonic thing, because they find the map.
Or maybe now stick with me here. Maybe this is secretly a secret cabin in the woods, and the system has fucked up and let loose like 5 different things.
I'd be game for that.
Yeah, I'd be game for that. If it turns out they're all actually happening,
That'd be amazing.
yeah. Even if it's it is A haunted and B there's like axe wielding maniac going about, like if both of them are actually happening properly in conjunction with one another, cool.
That'd be so much better.
I don't know, maybe the axe murderer's been possessed by the ghost. I don't know. Like that's one idea. But yeah, that's Dead of Summer. It is definitely on the side of trash TV, but I had fun.
Yeah, I feel like if you like those sorts of the movies that it's referencing,
Yeah,
you're probably going to enjoy this.
I think it gets the feeling of the 80s camp counselors and their stereotypes all down, plus you've got the good music. And I think that's, at least for a few episodes, enough for me to see
It's
if
a
it sinks in a
yeah,
bit more.
yeah. That's what I thought as well.
And I don't necessarily have to, it doesn't have to necessarily be good, but if it just hits its fun stride, then I
I
think we're
feel
sold.
like it should be a little bit better once it hasn't got to introduce everything and tease so many different
Yeah.
potential threads. It's like, well, if it just picks a couple for each episode and just goes with those, it'll probably be fun.
Yeah, so that's Dead of Summer. So we will be covering episode 2 at the very least next week. So look forwards to that. Let us know what you thought in the comments below. And did you like it? Do you like slasher movies? I mean, if you don't like slasher movies, you're probably not going to get a whole lot out of this. But, let us know if you enjoyed it. And like and subscribe, all that jazz. Helps us out a lot. Thanks very much, guys. We will see you next time.